Well, we're here to talk about your new book, The Safe Church. And we know from that you've spent years working in the trenches of sexual addiction and betrayal, and would love to know what specifically led you as a former pastor to shift your focus toward documenting the sexism and abuse within the church. And how has your clinical experience shaped the research that is in your book, The Safe Church?
Yeah, so there's a few different doorways for this book. I'd say one is my own story. My father was a pastor. He also was a sex addict and cheated on my mom for about 25 years.
Wow.
And so I'm 8 years old and my whole family is blowing up. I don't know what's going on. My mom just wants to be, a good Christian wife, whatever that looks like. And my dad gets help in a sense, but doesn't actually change. And so we end up leaving. And I'm 8 years old. I remember watching my father weep in the driveway. Like I'll never forget that seared into my little
Wow.
body. But yet nobody was talking about what was going on. So I begin to feel this in my body. I begin to feel like, why is no one telling me? Why do we have to go to church 5 times a week, but yet nobody is talking to me about actually what's happening? We just went on vacation and didn't go back.
Huh.
And so I'm born into this story, this intensity, my father's lack of integrity, and that kind of sets me on a certain trajectory of why is my mom numb? And we're religious in that sense, and my dad was a pastor, and something just didn't feel right. It felt like I was living a lie. So that as I grow up, this gets into my second reason why. Then I discover, internet becomes a thing around age 11. I discovered pornography myself. And so for the next 13 years, I numb myself. And that's how I begin to soothe my own wounds,
Yeah.
never actually dealing with my core wounds,
Yeah.
running from the pain, terrified of what if I actually begin to look inside of how scared I feel, how little I feel, how insecure I feel. I don't want to see any of that. So I do what feels good and I don't actually address any of my wounds. And so that as I grow up, that becomes a thing till my early 20s. And then I began to my life spirals out of control. I'm flunking out of college. Sex, drugs, rock and whatever, the whole story, right? The classic story, until I end up in a psychiatric ward, nearly taking my life. And so when I talk about, sexual recovery and like it's life and death for me. This is not a game. This is like this stuff nearly killed me. When I sin or when I fall, whatever, I go big. Like I always kind of go big. And so it's like I almost lost my whole life. Now, in some ways, I feel so fortunate that I kind of blew up my life, before marriage, whereas most of the
Mm.
men I work with are, many times blow up their lives later. So that kind of early 20s, flunking out of college, end up in the psychiatric ward, and slowly, start my own therapy journey, start kind of putting the pieces back, go back to college. I ended up going to like 5 different colleges, but like I slowly started putting my life back together and getting the help I needed to face my pain. And I begin to outgrow my addiction, where now I'm, 15 years sober. And I outgrow this adolescent way of being by facing my deepest pain. So I no longer kind of live into my father's story or my own story, and I ended up facing my deep shame, my fear, and in that discovering kind of the depth of my purpose, which goes back to answer your question of the why this book. So why this book? And that was why. My mom lived it. I dedicated the book to my mom, right? She lived this kind of spiritual abuse, spiritual bypassing, and I lived it as a son. And then now as a therapist for the last 15 years, watching so many women harmed by the church
Yeah.
or by kind of bypassing their pain. And
Yeah.
so this took me 5 years. It was over 2,800 women who worked in the church. And so now we have real data from their experience on the front lines of ministry.
Yeah. I think that's amazing. And I love the way the book is the outcome of your own story, your lived experience with your mom, with church community. And I'm guessing even in your own recovery, that the church while we have all the tools to be the body of Christ and love one another, when it comes to our sexuality and sexual dysfunction and brokenness and affairs and pain and addiction and all of it, the church just often does not know how to respond, and in our attempts to respond, hurt people and can
Yes.
make it worse. Even if our hearts are to love the Lord and grow to be more like Him, when sexuality comes up, it's like, man, there's a lot of rough stuff out there, and I know that's what we're going to get in today. So I love that it's coming out of your experience and your heart to maybe see that next little 8-year-old boy whose parents' marriage is blowing up with an affair have a better experience in their church community because our faith communities are learning how to lean into this in helpful ways versus
Yes,
kind of ignore it, sweep it under the rug, and hope it goes away.
no doubt.